Hi everyone, this is Sunny, and today I had come up with one more new session on Docker, and this is session number 2. In our previous session, what we did, we learned what is Docker, how to install Docker, what's container, Docker image, Docker file, Docker engine, and Docker hub. In today's session, we will do this practically. We will practically create Docker image, Docker file, and many more. So let's start our session. Now before we start, I will request to install Visual Studio Code first. So let's install this. I had already installed this, but I will show you where can you install Visual Studio Code. So this is a link where you can install the Visual Studio Code, and that I will share in the video as well. So you can install code.visualstudio.com. This is the link where you can install this, and if you are using Windows, you can install for Windows. If you are using Linux, you can install for Linux, and if Mac you can install for Mac. For my case, I will install for Windows. So I had installed this already. You have to click here. You will get the link here, and then double click on that link. It will get installed without any issue. For my case, I had already installed, so no need to install this again. I'm canceling this. Now to open the Visual Studio Code, what we have to do, once it get installed, you have to do Visual Studio.code. So Visual Studio Code, open this. So interface will be like this. Okay, so this will be the interface of Visual Studio Code, where we will create our application, where we will do the practicals. Second thing, I will request to install Node.js, because we have to create application using some language. Now I cannot install the Visual Studio.net. Maybe some people were not able to install Visual Studio, or they will not be installed Java because they are big and it becomes complex sometimes. So we will install which is open source and which is easy to install. So I have chosen this Node.js, and it doesn't make any difference. What we have to understood here is Docker, how to create Docker. So we can use any language, and it depends on the requirement. Okay, I am preferring Node.js because it is easy, open source, and it will take not that much time to install. So I have shared this link. You can use the same for your practice. So this is, you have to type Node.js install. You will get this link, and you can install from here. Same if you are using Mac. If you are using Mac, you can install for Mac, for Linux, for Windows. For my case, I am installing for Windows. So you have to click on here. So you will get the link. Same process you have to follow. Double click on that. It will get installed. Say yes and approve. Then it will get installed. I had installed this already, so no need to install this again. And if you found any issues, you can comment on the video. I will help on that. Okay, you can see Node.js. So this has already been installed. So once you are done with this Visual Studio Code and Node.js, we can start our practicals. So first here, see, this is our, let me open from scratch. So this is already showing test 1. What I will do, I will go file. You can go file and open folder. Select some drive from any drive, like let's select document E. And here what we do, we will create some new folder, project. Okay, where it is, we'll rename this again. Think some issues. Okay, or we can say test 2. Select folder. You can see now the project name changed here. This is now test 2. Okay, so this is clear. We had installed Visual Studio Code, and we are doing our practicals now. Why I choose Visual Studio Code? Because the steps will be same. Either you will install Mac, for Linux, or for Windows. The steps will be same. and this is open source also, easy to use, so I'm preferring Visual Studio Code for our practicals. Now next you need to open terminal. How can you open terminal? Expand this, your project name, and do the right click. You'll find open in integrated terminal. So this is your path where you had created your application, which is test2. Now you can check Node. So what we had installed Node. So you can check Node version. You will find the version, which means our Node.js is installed on our local machine. Let's now create our React based application. So for that we have command, which is, let's check the command, npx create react app application 1, which will be the name of the application that you want. So let's use this command. It's npx create hyphen react, there's no space, create react app and then application 1. So let's give app1, which will be our application. Okay, so then click, then hit enter. So it cannot be loaded because running script is disabled on the system. For more information, okay, let's check this command. Okay, it's throwing error, but no issues. Let's copy this. Okay, let's copy. Okay, copy, and then go to ChatGPT, which we have, and we can paste it and see our solution. Steps. Okay, it's disabled. What we have to do, set execution policy. Let's try this, no issues. Or we can copy here, go to PowerShell. Might be the same issue you will also get, but don't worry, open ChatGPT, you will find all the solutions here. Open, then run with administrator, yes, and then let's say why. Okay, so I think something has done. So you are seeing this error because the PowerShell execution policy is blocking. So something is blocking, and that's why this command is not working and it's not able to create this React application. Now if we check the command again, let's see it will work or not. I think something has happened. Okay, we will say yes. Okay, so it has worked. So this way also we also did some, like we also tested, we can also like we get to know if we get this issue how we can resolve. So this is better for us. So it's something is getting installed. Let's wait for some time. Okay, so now our application has been created, our command worked. So what was the issue? Which we found out that PowerShell was blocking the command to execute, and then we run this command, which we found from ChatGPT, and it started working. And you can also use the same command if you found the same issue. Now if you go to here, this is our project test2, and inside that we have app1, which we just created by using this command. Now if you open this, see, we get all the required files for this application: node modules, public, src, so all the source files and other files also. Now coming to next, so we are done with this command. Now how to start our application? If you go to this, see here it is suggesting something. We suggest that you can use below commands. See, cd app1, so which is our application name, and then npm start. So it is suggesting us, it is giving us the commands which you can use to start our application. So let's use these commands. Right now we are in test2. So this is our project test2. but inside that what we have application app1. So we need to go there first. For that we have command which is cd app1. Now we are in app application 1. Now we have to use npm start. Let's see what we get. So it has started. Hello, just click on hello, starting. So the port, it is showing the default port which is 3000 and something is getting okay. So you can see it has worked. So our application started working. Now go to Visual Studio Code again, Webpack compiled, but it has hanged. Okay. For that what you can do, Control C. Okay, so you are now again you can run your commands. Now the next is, see, if you found here the node modules, there are a lot of libraries, lot of files, and this project is heavy. What I mean is lot of files are there with this and everything is there in the code node module, which means this application is using whatever the files, whatever the dependent files this node.js is using this application, they are in this node module, so which we can use. Now when we have to deploy the application, we don't need this before deployment because then the project gets heavy, so it's not also suggested. So what we can do, we can delete this right now. So let's delete this, move to recycle bin. Okay, so it's not recommended. Now we had installed this. Now if we run this again without this npm, what was the command? Npm start. Will it work? No, it will not work because the dependent file, the main file which was node file, it's not there in this application, so it will not run. So to run it again, to get it back, what we have npm install. So we can use this command to get this file again. Let's use this command, npm install. So it's installing this again. See, this file is very big, so that's why I was just showing you this, like in case you are doing some deployment, you can remove this before deployment. Like so that you can run your application fast. It has installed this again. Now if you go to your application, see, it has come again to our project which is app1. Okay, so you have seen like how we can remove it from your application and then install it again from the command, and then you can do npm start and it will work again. So let's use this again now, npm start, npm start, so it will work again. Starting the development server, so it has worked. Now it's working again after we remove this file and then install it again, so no issues we found. Now how to create Docker file. So let's see now how to create Docker file. So let's do this. Let's go to Visual Studio Code again. Now here let's remove this because we don't need this now. Delete this file, move to recycle bin. So we have to select the path where this application 1 is in the drive. So where this is, okay, we need the provider continue. It's removing this file. Let's wait for some time. Yes. Okay, so this file, the node file, has been removed from your application, which is application app1. Now what we have to do, we have to create a Docker file. Now if I go to the slides here, in our previous sessions what we did, we learned what is Docker file, which is a text file, a set of instructions that we give while creating our application. Okay, so this is our set of files. So we have to create the same Docker file. For this, we can delete this, remove this. Now we go to Visual Studio Code again. This is our Visual Studio Code and we have to create Docker file. So let's do that. Now if you go to application, we have to create new file. We have to place this Docker file in the same path where your application 1 is there. New file, and then give a name as Docker file. You can see the symbol, the fish like symbol, it is the same one. Okay, so our Docker file is created. Now I will suggest also one thing to get the help. See, when you will do the change in the Docker file, you need some help, you need some intelligence. For that, what you can, I will suggest to go to the extensions. You can go Docker, you will get all the relevant files and then you can do install. So this will install the help which is required when you will create the Docker file. So it has been installed, so it's installing. Okay, so this is a step, some additional step that you can do. So extension was installed. Now what you have to do, go to your Docker file again. You can remove, close this. Okay, now what's next? How to create Docker file from node 20. So now what's that? Let's use this. You can give from, see, this is help which you are getting, and this you get when you install that extension. Okay, for that Docker. Now the base image, it's asking for base image. What's our base image which we had used here for this application, which was node. So our application is built on node, so that is our base image. Like if you had created your application using .NET, so .NET will be your base language, or you have used Java, so Java will be your base language. So you have to give that base image, node. Okay, and then see why it is 20, because 20, if you don't give the 20 is the version. If you don't give the 20 here, if you just give 20 node only, it will take the latest version. But if you want to specify the version also, you can give that. You can give the version which you want for your Docker file. Now if you go to Docker Hub, let's use, go to Docker Hub, dockerhub.com. So Docker Hub we had already discussed in our previous version. See, we had a lot of images there. These are the images. So you will find the node also. In case you don't find, what you can do, you can search node. This is our, see, this is our all the images for the node. If you go and click here, these are the versions: 24, 22, 20, or you can give any version which you want. So for now, let's give 20 version. Okay, so we had used 20 version, or you can give 24 as per your requirement, as per your Node.js which you had installed. The next, WORKDIR. So working directory, which means working directory. So our working directory is WORKDIR. So what's our working directory? It's app1. So we will give that. Working directory, let's give it app1, because whatever we are doing, whatever the code we are doing, we are using, that will be placed inside this app1 application. App1 is the folder which we are using here. Okay, so you have understood. And app1, so right now, see, we use the base image here, and then we just give the working directory. In the working directory we had used this path, which is app1. so whatever we are doing that in app1, which is our working path, and this we are creating in container. If you had gone through my previous session, you may have understood like what's container, because see, we are creating one container for our application. In that container we are creating this app1 path, and we are whatever now we are doing, whatever the change we do in this app1 path. So that's why we have shared that app1 path. Now next is copy. So we have to copy now everything in this app1 path. So for that we have the command, which is copy, and the source destination. Here you can provide the destination what you want to copy. For now we have to copy everything, so we'll use two dots, which means we are copying everything in this path above. Okay, so everything which is from here for this app1, so it will take everything and then copy in this app1 path. Now moving to next, it's showing some error here. Instructions should be written in uppercase. Okay, so let's make it capital letter, copy. Okay, so this time it's working. So by this way we also are fixing our issues what we have while creating our Docker file. So we had now copied everything, all the files inside this app1 path, which is our application. Then we have to run npm install. See, this is very important. What we did here in this application, we removed that big file which was that node file. So we removed that because that was too big, and we don't need that, because when we have to share this, we don't need that this big file. It should take time. Our application should work fast, so that's why we removed that from our project. Now, but when we will share this image, what we want at that time when it get run, when our image will run, so that should get installed. Now what we do, run npm install. So we have to use run npm install. Okay, so this will, again, this is giving instructions. Okay, instruction, actually this will be uppercase, which is very mandatory. Now it will run this npm install, and it will install that node file which we have removed earlier. Now expose 3000, which is our port number. It's optional, either it will give or it will take the default port. So we can give this also, expose port, which is default port. You can give any port, 3000. In last, cmd npm start. So we have to start the application also, because without the npm start it will not work. So for that we have cmd, we have to use this array here, cmd npm start. So it will run this. After the Docker file will get created, it will execute this npm start. Okay, so I think we are good to go. So our Docker file is ready. What we did, we just created a text file. In this text file we write down all our instructions what we want from this application. We had given the base image, we give the work directory, we copied everything from this project to this our path. We then run install this node file, we give the expose, we give this what we can say here, the port number, and then in last we started our application. Okay, now what we have to do, we have to save this file. So save this file. This file is saved. The next is our Docker file is ready. Now how to create Docker image. If you had gone through this slide, this part is done, which we had done theoretically in our previous session. Docker file, we created this file. Now the next is Docker image, which is a package that gets delivered with the help of Docker engine. Okay, so now we are going to create our Docker image, the package, which will have all the required things which are there in this Docker file. Now this is the actual package which we will share to the team member for execution. Go to Visual Studio Code, check the command. For that we have the command which is docker build command. So let's use this and we'll see it will work or not. Docker build, and why dot here? It means the current directory. So we are in the current directory and we are creating our Docker image. So let's hit enter and see it will work or not. Okay, so it is creating our Docker image. So our Docker image is ready. Now if you want to check our Docker image, what you can do, docker image ls. Let's see what we get. Okay, think docker image ls. Okay, so this is the command. Actually I was using the wrong command. It is docker image ls. You can see the image ID here. This is our Docker image which has been created. Now the size is, it's giving the size, creation date, and the repository which is none, tag is none, and the size it is giving, and the image ID. Okay, so now we have the Docker image. So we have done this part as well. So we created package which have all the everything which is present in this, which we had given here in the Docker file. Now we have the Node.js, we have the full application which we can share to our end user. Now what's next? So we have to now run this Docker image, and how to run? Docker run and image ID. So let's see it will work or not. We'll use Docker run, and the image ID is, copy this and Docker run and right click. What happened? We'll copy this, Docker run. Okay, so this time it worked. Actually I was not copying in correct way. So we have the image ID. We are not giving the application to our end user. What we are doing, we are now running the Docker image. If you just go to our previous slides, if you come here in the first slide, we were giving project, the developer created the project and shared this project to our tester, and it didn't work because there were some dependency issues. But now the next time what we did here, what I showed you practically, we just configured Docker. Now the project created the application, the developer created this project with some language like we use here Node, and then he created a Docker. Okay, he configured the Docker, and then from the Docker file he created the Docker image, which is a package of everything what we had built, what the developer has built, and then he shared this Docker image to the tester, which worked fine on his machine as well. Why it worked? Because in this container everything is present. Whatever was required, everything is there present in this container. So that's why it worked. Okay, so there will be no dependency issues because everything is present in this package. So we can use this package now. Now this tester will use this Docker image. In the same, I'm showing you the same thing. See, Now we are running this image. So let's execute this. Let's run this. Hit enter. Okay, so it has compiled successfully. Now what we can do, we can copy this path, copy this, and then go to browser, and you can do the testing. Okay, sorry, I think the copy is getting slow. Go to Visual Studio Code again, copy, go to browser, and then paste same, copy again, okay, let me try one more time. Okay, so let's give it one more try, I mean. Okay, copying, let's click here, follow link. Okay, now we can copy here also. Was not knowing this, I was just copying this. Now what you can do, you have done the copy, and do paste here and see it's working or not. So we should get the same output what we are getting earlier for the node.js. Let's see. Okay, so we tried multiple times, but we were unable to open this web link from browser. Let's see why. Now go to the document here. See, we cannot access container externally. So what we created this, our application, our web app in the container. Okay, and we created the package with Docker image. So we were not able to access this outside the container, although we were able to access this inside the container. But when we try to open it outside externally, the container, we are not able to access it. And for that, to access our web app externally, what we have to do, go to this again, open one more instance. Okay, see, you don't get confused with the container and the Docker image. So once, see, let me show you again. Let's open the slide. First we create Docker file, and then Docker image. We build the Docker image. A container is the instance of Docker image. When we run Docker image, what we get? We get container. Container is the instance of Docker image, and we can create multiple containers. So you will understand this in a bit. We are coming to that. Now here what we had to do, it didn't work. So why? Because we are not able to access the container externally from our machine. So to fix this, what we can do, we have to open one more instance. In this, what we can use, we have to first go to this test app. Now go there, cd app 1, and then docker ps, which gives us the container ID. Because see, when we created our Docker image and when we run that, what we get container ID. So this is our container ID, which is a random ID that gets generated. So copy this, copy, and then what's next? Docker stop container ID name. So we have to stop this instance. So let's do that. Docker stop and the container ID, which is this one. So you will get the different random ID names. But don't give this name manually, it gets created automatically. So this is container ID, image, command, created, status, and port. So you will get this much of details when you hit Docker ps. Hit enter. and it will get stopped. Now it stopped the instance, so now we can remove this. Okay, just delete this instance which we just created, deleted. Now when we go to this browser again, you can see earlier it was not working, but now this time when we hit again after stopping the instance, let's see it will work or not. It's taking time. Let's wait for some time. It is still not working. I think we had missed something more. Let's go to the document. Okay, so I think, see, there is one more command which we have to execute. We have to give the port here. So we have to run this command, which is docker run -p. So let's use this command. Like if you want to give access to container outside, then you have to outside the container, then you have to use docker run -p and then the port, which is the port ID from the remote and the port ID from the container, and then the docker image. So what's the docker image? If we go to the previously we checked the docker image, which was when we hit the okay, so this is our docker image. Copy this and then paste it here and hit enter. Hello. Now let's go to our browser again and hit enter. See, this time it worked. So we were able to access our docker image outside the container. Now it doesn't looks good, like you just create the docker image, then you have to add one more instance, and then you have to stop the container ID, and then again you have to execute. It doesn't looks good because it's getting you have to do this, it becomes like more lengthy process. So for that we have the solution that I will show you. What we can do here is, let me show you one thing. See, Control C. See, it's getting hanged again. Now what we have to do here, we have to add one more instance, and then we have to list docker ps and just copy this again, copy, and then docker stop and paste the okay, so docker stop container ID name. So we have to follow these steps again, because this is getting, when we are running the image, it's getting hanged, so we are not able to run this. Now I will show you the solution for this. Let's first stop this, okay, and remove this from here and go to okay. So now this is again, it started working, but we have the solution. Now when we do this, when we run the image ID again, I have one more command which we can use, which is, you have to use the same command, docker run p, docker run this one, but now we will add d also. Let's do this. First let's check the image ID. What was the image ID? For that we have the command which is okay, docker image ls. So let's use this, docker image ls. This is our image ID, and then docker run -d -p, then give the port from the machine and the port number from the container, and then the docker image. I think it is a container ID, not the docker image. Docker image is the above 1. So this is Control C and copy. Now this time let's see it will work or not, it will get hanged or not. So we will verify the command again. Okay, docker run -d -p and the port number. Let's hit now enter. See, this is right now it's not getting hanged. Okay, and our application is also working. Our application is working and our terminal didn't get hanged. Now we can use this for further commands. So this is a solution for this. Now exploring Docker interface. In the start, what we have installed, we installed Docker. So let's go to that Docker, this one, okay, Docker desktop. So let's see what we have there. This is Docker interface. Okay, see, we have the container ID. Whatever we are creating, we get the interface for same. We get the container ID, we get the image ID. So whatever you was doing from the Visual Studio Code, you will get the same here, the port numbers, the CPU utilization. You can delete this, you can stop this, you can delete this from this interface what we installed in the start of this session. So you can also control your application from here. Container IDs, image ID, you will get everything. So the more you will explore this Docker desktop, the more you will learn. Okay. So we have learned now how to run the same application with different containers, creating instance of same image. Okay. Now, earlier I showed you this Docker image we created Docker file and then Docker image, and then we created container. Now I will show you how we can create different containers from the same image. So we have one image which we have right now and we created container. Now we create different containers with the same image. So let's see it's possible or not. Now here we use the same command and then we change the port number. So let's do this. Now here let's use port number 3001. Okay, so we use the different port and we use the same image ID, and now hit enter. Okay, so it worked, and let's use the same command, and now again with different port ID, which is 2. Same image again but different port. Okay, so in the container we are using the same port 3000, and for the remote we are changing the port, which is ideally true. Now in the container we are using same ports. So that's why in the session I said, if you can just go to this example, earlier when we have the same application like application 1, 2, 3, and we were using the 3 different nodes, and for that we use 3 different VM machines. But then when we have the container, as I said, they are isolated. This container app1, the container this one, doesn't have any dependency on container number 2. So that's why you have seen we were able to execute the same image with same port. Now if you check here, copy this, it's working with 3000 port. Now if you go to the different tab and then choose 3001, you can see it's running here also, and then you copy 3002, it's running. And if you go for 3003, it will not run for 3003 because we have not created the container for 3003. So what you understood here, we can create different instances of image ID which we have. So that instances are the containers. We can create multiple containers which are the instances of image. Here let me open this. Okay, so we were able to create the different containers and with the same port, which means from the same server we can run we can run the application with the same port, which is possible from container. And otherwise you have to use the different VM, different virtual machine for different applications if you are using the node 14, 16 or 18. So which was possible here. So because why? Because the containers are isolated, they are independent. We can create, they are independent, they doesn't have any dependency. This container doesn't know what is there in the second container, so that's why they work. And from here also what we learn, we created Docker file, Docker image, and we created these containers. See, from the Docker image, when we run this Docker image here, when we execute this by this command, you can see we are using the same image, but we are creating the different instances, and that instances are creating a container. Okay, so this we had gone through when we gone through this slide. As I said, I will show you this practical. So we created different containers when we run image, and they are running when we saw here with a different port, with the same port they are running, and the application was same, image ID was same, which we use. So I think that was enough for today's session. I hope you understood. We'll come up with the next session shortly. Till then, have a nice day. Bye bye. Take care. Be healthy, be strong, and love your family.